of Uptown as well as District 1. Just 2 weeks ago, we stood before you together and promised to make Uptown a stronger, safer place, not just with words, but also with action. And today, we're showing exactly what that looks like. From the Tryon Street refresh to Uptown Lighting Initiative, we are keeping our promises. These projects aren't just about bricks and bulbs and pavement. They're about restoring confidence and pride in the heart of the Queen City. The Tryon Street refresh will make our main corridor brighter, more walkable, and welcoming. And the upgrading lighting throughout Uptown means people can see and feel that this is a safe place that it's meant to be for everyone. Because when people feel confident in a place, they return, and they return again, and they return again. And we want that practice to take place Uptown, to eat, to shop, to live, and to be a part of this community. That renewed confidence is what will make Uptown thriving. Our police department and city partners and our local businesses are working hand in hand, collaboratively, expanding camera coverage, increasing patrols, and improving coordination throughout all of Uptown. These aren't isolated efforts. They're part of a united strategy to make Uptown safer day in and day out, night and day. So everyone who lives here and represents this community, I see firsthand the progress and the passion behind it. Charlotte is just not standing still. We've said we would act, and we are doing exactly that. I'd like to thank the city manager and CMPD for their leadership in these initiatives, and to our Center City partners and Uptown businesses. Thank you so much for stepping up, investing in safety, and helping us turn plans into progress. The work is not finished, not by a long shot, but the change is visible and the momentum is real, and I hope we all feel that way. Thank you for your commitment to our city, and thank you for working together to make Charlotte, and Uptown in particular, a safer, brighter community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Anderson, for those words, and thank you, Robert. Robert, where are you? Thank you for not just for hosting today, but for leaning into these issues, you and your membership. Sean Heath, Deputy City Manager. So one of the things that I really appreciate about this public safety press conference series, and I'm about to steal a quote, and I'm going to give attribution because the person I'm about to steal it from is sitting right in front of me. There are two things that I really appreciate about this series. One is a recognition that public safety is a team sport. Thank you, Mr. Graham, for that. A quote from a statement that you made last month. That means so much to me. There have already been references today that it has to be more than just any one single organization. Even the City of Charlotte, CMPD, Code Enforcement, Housing, Department of Transportation, you run down the list, many city departments come around this issue. The county, the DA's office, the courts, the business community, the nonprofit community. All of us have and will continue to come around these issues as team players. The second point would be that public safety really needs to be a multi-pronged strategy. So not only do we need to have different players on the team, but we've got to embark upon different strategies. Law enforcement is always an essential ingredient to public safety, but law enforcement can't do this alone. So today we're excited to talk about what are some things that we're doing beyond policing, as important as policing is. You heard a bit about that a few weeks ago. And in a moment, we're going to have a couple city leaders stand up and speak about two very tangible, what we believe will be very visible efforts here in the city of Charlotte. But I wanted to quickly mention two things that are probably a little bit under the radar. The first is called Connect Charlotte. So some of you may be familiar with Connect Charlotte. This is a public safety program that was introduced by CMPD in late 2024. And here the emphasis is really on technology collaboration. So how can CMPD in partnership with residents and businesses enhance public safety? And what Connect Charlotte is, it's an opportunity for residents or businesses to participate in one of two ways. One is to simply register their security cameras with CMPD. So that could be anything from a fixed installation security camera on a mom and pop convenience store to a Ring doorbell camera. And for anybody in the community willing to do that, if CMPD is looking to research or investigate crime that may have happened in that particular area, they then have in their database and in their mapping registered cameras across the city. And it's an opportunity for them to then reach out to that individual and ask for permission for them to share some of their video footage from a particular day at a particular time. That can be quite helpful to have eyes in the sky in that regard. The second opportunity for businesses, if they want to go even a step further beyond just the registration, is to do what we call integrate with the platform. And under the integrate scenario, this is when a business is giving CMPD permission to have access to the direct video feed. Very important point to underscore here is, in all scenarios, the business is deciding the sharing parameters. It can be anything from unlimited access, where CMPD on a real-time basis has access to a live video feed, or at the other end of the spectrum, it could be only in those scenarios where there's a 911 call involved at that particular location. Those are just two extreme examples. There are a lot in the middle. But the important point is the business is deciding what is shared and when it's shared. So why does this matter? And to the extent that maybe it's not obvious, but CMPD is in a position, because of this type of technology sharing, to better assess, investigate, and rapidly respond to criminal activity in emergency situations. As of today, there are over 1,500 cameras that are registered in this program, and there are over 900 that are integrated into the CMPD system. So I think we're already in a position where there's a demonstration of strong community support. So I'm thanking the individuals and businesses that are participating already. But I would also consider this a bit of a call to action, because to really maximize the benefit of this platform, we need to continue to grow the network. So I'd encourage any businesses that want to learn more to go to connectcharlotte.org as a starting point. Not only will you see some more information about the two options under this program, but there's also a good FAQ section, because a lot of people will naturally have questions about data privacy and this sort of thing, and related to the video feeds themselves. So that's a great place to start. And we also have CMPD representation here today that could answer any specific questions you may have later. The second thing that I would turn to would be really what I would think of as a pilot program. And this would be an example of the multi-pronged approach beyond just law enforcement. So the city manager continues to encourage his team to be creative, to be proactive, to experiment with things. And last month, in conversation with our director of solid waste services, we talked about how in the central business district, on Friday nights / early Saturday morning, Saturday nights, early Sunday morning, between 2 a.m. to 5 a.m., there's generally no solid waste services collection activity, which wouldn't be uncommon across the country. So we asked our head of solid waste services, what do you think if on a pilot basis you had a crew of 5 people go out between those hours of 2 to 5 a.m. and focus their attention on those heavily trafficked areas with high pedestrian flow after the bars close? Get out there, clean the trash receptacles, sweep the streets, blow the streets, do power washing, whatever may be appropriate in those circumstances, and then let's talk about it before the end of the year. Is it working? If it's not working, are there opportunities to enhance it? Is it worth doing? How much would this cost if we wanted to do this on more of a permanent basis? You know, it's too early to say whether that will be a success. And admittedly, it's a rather small example. But you know, having a clean and well-maintained city is in fact important to public safety. Demonstrating that matters is important. And also, of course, subtly, we're also trying to encourage folks that, hey, the bars have closed. It's time to go home. So hopefully there's a little bit of a byproduct there as well. So we'll see how that's going later on in the year. Just a small example of let's try new stuff, let's learn quickly, let's adapt, and then let's keep making progress going forward. So with that, I'm now going to turn it over to Monica Holmes to talk about one of the programs we're very excited about, the Try and Refresh.
Thanks, Sean. I'm really excited to be here today to talk about the Try on Street Refresh. So as we know that CMPD is really continuing to focus to address crime in Uptown, we want you to know that the city is dedicated towards a collaborative approach of how we foster a more welcome Uptown. So I represent the planning department. I'm here today to talk about our efforts and how we're leading the Try on Street Refresh project, which really aims to create a more attractive and stylish streetscape. So what you see between the buildings, the street, the curb, the sidewalk, the benches. As Charlotte continues to grow, we are really in the spotlight as a world-class city. We have millions of visitors come to the city every year for sporting events, for concerts, for conferences, and we want to be able to match that energy. Our street should feel vibrant, it should feel modern, and it should give both our residents and our visitors an Uptown to be proud of. So today, many of the structures you see and what you see in that streetscape have been here for over 40 years. So they were put there in the mid-1980s, and they have served this city well. They have been loved and used, and now it's really time to usher in a new era look and feel, and we're excited about that. This project prioritizes replacing the older, worn-out fixtures with new, modern ones that improve both the safety and the functionality of Try on Street. So the upgrades include things like replacing the older kiosks, getting new trash and recycling bins, new benches, and taking some of the out-of-date things that we just don't use anymore out of the streetscape. So has anybody ever seen a phone booth on Tryon Street? Obviously something we don't need anymore. So we are in the early phases of removing some of these fixtures. You'll see us out and about, starting to take them out, starting to put new ones in, and the project will wrap up in 2026. So again, it's going to happen quick, and it's going to be very exciting. Our hope is that the intentional, thoughtful design will create a safe and attractive uptown for residents and visitors to live, work, and play. So with that, I'm going to introduce David Smith with our Department of Transportation, another great Team Charlotte member, to talk about some of the other exciting things that we have to create that new uptown.
Thanks so much, Monica. As an Uptown and South End resident for almost 25 years, can't wait to see the refresh. Really excited about that. So hello, everyone. Good to be with you this afternoon. I'm David Smith with the City of Charlotte DOT's Engineering and Operation Division. And as this group is well aware, Uptown is one of our most visible and vibrant areas. And I'd like to share some updates on what we're doing with Center City lighting. For many people coming to Charlotte, it's a visible sign of our investment in the community's well-being, economic growth, and public trust. When our streets are clearly marked, our intersections well lit, and infrastructure in good condition, it improves mobility, reduces crashes, and shows residents, workers, and visitors that the city has made investments in safety. Maintaining our core transportation infrastructure such as pavement markings, sidewalks, accessible pedestrian paths, street lighting, and signage is essential in supporting the vibrant environment we want to create. These elements help create safe, predictable conditions for drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, and transit users. Just as importantly, they contribute to a positive public image and perception of safety that encourages business activity and tourism. As you've heard from and will hear from other speakers, there are many elements that come together to create this vibrant uptown, including adequate lighting. Lighting is important across the entire fabric of uptown, including on our public streets, in our parks, and on privately owned property. The city is doing our part when it comes to this lighting, and I'd like to share Charlotte DOT's current and future efforts to improve street lighting in the Center City area. For many years, CDOT staff has performed annual street lighting assessments across the city. This year, we have accelerated the start of this assessment to include the uptown area to get a look at some of these lighting fixtures before the leaves fall off the trees. We're looking for fixtures that are out, but also where tree trimming could make our existing lighting more effective. I'm happy to report that the field portion of this uptown lighting assessment was completed on Tuesday. We're compiling the information and determining the next steps for an action plan. Also within Uptown, we are collaborating with our partners at Duke Energy to investigate what it would take to upgrade the remaining fixtures to LED technologies. These LED fixtures are brighter, longer lasting, and use less energy than traditional lighting fixtures. Within just the 277 loop, there are around 3,000 street lighting fixtures, and approximately half of those have already been upgraded to LED technologies. CDOT is working closely with our partners at Duke to develop cost estimates and schedules to complete the rest of that uptown LED conversion. To give some context on the size of the overall system, there are about 80,000 streetlights across the city. Center City partners, who you will hear from in a moment, will be spearheading efforts to work with private property owners to improve the off-street lighting. Longer term, CDOT will continue to work with Duke Energy to identify areas of low lighting after the LED conversion is complete. The off-street lighting is important to the vibrancy of Uptown, and a working group that includes CMPD, CDOT, Center City partners, and Park and Rec is meeting regularly to improve lighting across Uptown. This is a collaborative effort, and we appreciate all of our amazing partners. We have identified some immediate needs, and we'll be taking actions on those, and we'll continue to collaborate with our partners on those short, mid, and long-term efforts. With that, although no relation, I'm going to hand it over to Michael Smith.
Thank you all. Thanks for our elected officials that are here and for your commitment to safety of this community. It is foundational to everything we're trying to do, but thank you, Robert, for hosting us. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Anderson, Deputy City Manager Heath, Monica, and David. These are great partners that we do a lot with, and this is truly that team sport of public safety, like everything we approach in Charlotte. As an organization, we have been committed for almost 50 years to economic vibrancy and a welcoming downtown. And we're going through this wonderful transformation where our center city is becoming a more complete place, moving from central business district to central activity district. It's home to sports teams. Last year, there were 330 sporting events in our center city. Amazing. Large venues, culture, food, entertainment, visitors, and yes, the heart of business for our community, the heart of GDP for the two-state region. Central Activity District is becoming more modern, more diverse, stronger visitor appeal, thriving nightlife, dynamic workplaces. And that's why public safety and these environmental initiatives mean so much and can play such a big role. You know, there's only so many levers to public safety, and our city is considering all of them and working together, and you'll continue to hear more about that. I want to add two initiatives that continue to extend that Tryon Street refresh. The first is McCall Park. I hope you've all been there. I hope you're all enjoying it. It is an incredible gift to our community by so many. Great partnership with the City of Charlotte and our private investors. This was a major renovation to Tryon Street and illustrative of the difference intentional design and investment can make in a place. The park has been transformed. It's celebrated. It's being used by all, and it makes our center city more welcoming to all. The renovation joins others on Tryon Street, including the Truist Plaza remodeling over last summer, the iconic public art they put in the entrance. The second is an initiative of the Tryon Street vendor and food truck program that we advise and work with the city to administer. We support small businesses in so much of what we do because it is truly the character of our center city. Whether that's the market at 7th Street, the Hive program, the Small Business Innovation Fund that was launched during COVID, and the work that we do on Tryon Street with the food trucks and the food vendors. We manage this program with the City of Charlotte, and we will be conducting a reimagining of this program concurrent with the broad reimagining of Tryon Street. We think that that way it can support our vibrancy aspirations for Tryon Street. As a reminder, we launched an initiative called the Uptown Vibrancy Collaborative at the beginning of this year, and it was a partnership between Center City Partners and the CELC and the City of Charlotte to address public safety and vibrancy in Uptown Charlotte. It began and was born out of a deep conviction that the essential elements of Charlotte's rise has been its focus on developing a strong, vibrant center city, and its priorities of this initiative are around increasing economic vibrancy, generating investment in public infrastructure, or generational investment in public infrastructure, improving perception of our uptown and center city, creating extraordinary uptown experiences, and ensuring that uptown is safe for all. I'll begin with the programming side of it. Actually, I'll begin with the marketing side of it. We pulled together an Uptown Marketing Collaborative, and it was the CMOs and heads of marketing from many of our major employers to talk about the perception of this place that had been truly battered from COVID on. But don't feel like we're alone. Downtowns across the country have endured this. We just don't want to sit back, and we're going to act on it. And that was the idea behind this broad Uptown Vibrancy Collaborative. We worked with Ray Ward, developed a campaign that was launched in the spring of this year. That will continue. We are going to go out and tell stories about the way people are enjoying the uptown experience that it offers. That was phase one. Newsletters, websites, 50 million impressions to date. We're proud of the work that's been done. Phase two is now launching this fall and will head through the holiday season. On the programming side, we have an incredible events team that we're proud to have turned loose with micro and macro programming for, big events or surprise and delight efforts. This has been a great undertaking with us, or for us, from the beer garden on the Wells Fargo Plaza, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays. You can see it this afternoon, actually. Movies in the park, Fourth Ward Park in Uptown, Centennial, Wilmore Centennial Park in South End. We've put a game kiosk for kind of lunchtime fun in the middle of Ramir Bearden Park. We've had a great partnership with Mecklenburg County for our Center City parks, to craziness like pop-up singing Elvis's superheroes, Talk Like a Pirate Day, which I didn't even know was a thing, to Veg Fest, to National Night Out, to Victoria Yards, lunchtime concerts, weekend warm-ups in Ramir Bearden Park that begin on Thursdays at 4 p.m. There'll be one today. To the larger programming like Charlotte Shout, Thanksgiving Eve Parade, and more. We want folks to have different kinds of experiences. We think this intentionality is important. The team is having a ton of fun producing it, and I hope folks are coming out and enjoying. Now it's my pleasure to welcome my partner, the CRVA's CEO, Steve Bagwell, to share some key parts about Uptown Vibrancy Collaborative around Own Your Block and the Center City Safety Ambassadors. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Michael, and thank you for everyone being here, your involvement in this important discussion, your leadership. So the CRVA helps drive the visitor economy, hotels, restaurants, attractions, and venues that welcome millions of guests each year. Behind that activity, 1 in 9 people in our community work in hospitality. So for all of us who work in the industry, safety is critical for us to deliver the experiences that keep visitors coming back. That's one reason this discussion is so important. Every guest who chooses Charlotte for a convention, a concert, a weekend getaway deserves to feel safe and cared for. That's a standard our community sets, and it's one we share responsibility in driving. We're proud to partner with Center City Partners to expand the Safety Ambassador Program, a visible, hospitality-minded team that helps keep Uptown and South End welcoming. This partnership's a natural fit for us. The ambassadors are an extension of our hospitality promise, a team that helps keep our streets safe, our guests comfortable, and our community connected. Easily spotted with their bright orange shirts and jackets, ambassadors stand out for service. And they complement the work of our CRVA visitor information specialists. While our team focuses on hospitality and wayfinding, the ambassadors extend that same spirit to safety and outreach, assisting visitors, reporting issues, and connecting people to resources. It's a partnership that strengthens the experience for everyone who visits, works, and lives in Center City. Building on that partnership, we're helping to grow this team from 14 to 23 ambassadors by the end of November. That expansion is a clear sign of our community investing in safety, because when people feel comfortable here, they stay longer, they spend more, and they tell others about their experience in Charlotte. At the CRVA, we know safety isn't someone else's job, it's everyone's job. It's a shared commitment that must be visible, proactive, and sustained. Our venues are part of a much larger picture, and when everybody takes small and deliberate steps, together we create a city that feels safe and welcoming from block to block. The CRVA is
Good morning, everybody. It's a Friday morning. We are coming up on 9:30 here. I'm Jane Monreal. We appreciate you watching every Monday through Friday from 9 to 11 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, where we have live discussions, video feeds, and your local headlines as well, covering the Carolinas, the state, as well as national and international news. But speaking of lively discussions, let's just get this Friday morning started with something that's in our own backyard, because they're known as jungle pilots, flying missionaries and supplies, vital supplies, to some of the most dangerous places on Earth. Right here in Waxhaw. So this Saturday, JARS in Waxhaw opens its doors for the annual JARS Day celebration. To talk about that and what JARS is, Jonathan Fott, a pilot as well as mechanic with the organization, here now in the Live Impact studio. Jonathan, thank you for joining us and being patient with us. There was some behind the scenes kind of, setting up on a Friday, but we thank you for coming in here to the Live Impact studio.
Thank you, Jane, for having me here to be able to talk about JARS and what we do there.
It's wonderful work from what I can see. For folks who do not know what exactly JARS is and what do you do, explain to our viewers.
Absolutely, Jane. JARS is Jungle Aviation Relay Service. We've been around for a little over 75 years now, and we're based in Waxhaw, North Carolina, but impact around the world. We exist to go what we call the last mile, the place where commercial infrastructure ends, and yet there are thousands of people groups that desperately need transportation and supplies, services. So we exist to cover that over and over again.
I mean, yeah, like I said, remote areas. Where, tell me about some of the places that you've flown to and what makes these missions so challenging.
It varies. Some places it's geography, high mountain ranges, dense jungles, rivers. Other places it's geopolitical. You have insurgent groups, you have rebels fighting, and so how do you be able to get the translators, the aid workers safely to the places that need to go, where the needs are at and the people exist?
Amazing work that we don't even know was necessary, and certainly right here in in our backyard.
Absolutely. It's amazing getting to be based here in Charlotte. I mean, it's sort of the hidden center of the South in a lot of ways, and so we have easy access around the world to be able to get pilot supplies, equipment, around the world wherever the need is at. And yet then also it's a nice little hometown to be out of as well.
For sure, calling Waxhaw home here. So you are both a pilot and a mechanic. Seems like it's an unusual combination. Certainly having both skills has got to help you in this field.
Absolutely. I kind of liken it to being my own best job security. I can go out there and I can break the aircraft, and then I can also be the one to fix it. But when you're in a remote place, I may not have the tools or the parts to fix it, but if I can get a very good idea of what broke and then know what parts to get, because it's expensive, it's difficult to get the parts out. So to be able to plan ahead and be able to be on top of it without having to spend a lot of time and money to find the right part and troubleshooting it.
Yeah, we are resourceful. We know about being resourceful here as well. We saw JARS was one of the first to respond to Hurricane Helene victims in Western North Carolina. Tell us about that response.
It was kind of surreal for me. I was actually flying in Cameroon. I was just dropped off a surgeon at a hospital in north central Cameroon, and I'm flying back across the jungle, and my phone goes off, and I have signal somehow in the middle of the jungle.
Amazing.
Which is amazing. Not always around Waxhaw, but you can get it in the middle of the jungle in Cameroon. And it's the we need a pilot for the helicopter to be able to go out and do the initial survey. And Helene came through Avery County area, Spruce Pine, Little Switzerland. For the last nearly 45 years, that's been our home base for mountain training. So we have worked with the families and the communities there, and they have opened up fields for us to be able to practice, be able to train our pilots, all sorts of helipads. Amazing community there, and yet that's our home. That's our home away from home, and they are some of the hardest hit. And so to be able to go in to do the initial survey flights, then to be able to start flying supplies into Avery County, and it was surreal to watch it from afar, going, this is what we're about. These are our people. This is our home, and we're able to help them out in it. It was tremendous to be a part of that.
I mean, in general, when it comes, because you're not going to Disney World or anything. But all of these missions are important, vital, like you said, potentially dangerous. What goes through your mind with these landings?
It's, please don't let me mess this up.
Okay,
Most of
no,
the
you're
time when we
safe.
do this.
Yes. Oh, right.
Every time coming in on the landing, you're going, oh, don't let me mess this up. The reality is we operate into very challenging environments.
Yeah.
We say in a lot of ways, we've gone to the easy places. And by easy places, we've literally cut 19% slope airfields out of the side of mountains. And it can take over a decade to carve this runway out of there. Those are the easy places we've gone to. Now we're going to the places we can't even do that and having to rely on helicopters. So we could be at an airborne committal point a mile before. We can't even see the runway. We are committed to land. We cannot outclimb the terrain. Our options are either we're impacting terrain or we're landing. And so we go, okay, I know I'm stable. I have, my airspeed is on target. I'm on my altitude. Everything is lined up. And I fly my key points in and everything works out. It's all calculated ahead of time. This isn't left for chance. It's how do we bring as much margin into very marginal remote places.
Incredible. I just have goosebumps. What drives you personally with JARS? You've been with them for 10 plus years now.
I have. For me, really, it's the thrill and the passion of being able to help people. At the end of the day, knowing that the communities, the families that we serve, we're able to have an impact and difference in their life, be it a medevac flight for a snakebite victim or a coma patient to be able to get to a hospital where there's no other hope for them there in the village.
Incredible.
That's really it at the end of the day.
Oh my goodness. All right, so Jonathan, let's celebrate you. JARS Day is tomorrow. What can families expect when they go out?
Well, a lot of international organizations, you can sit down at a conference room, we can show you the video of the highlights of the year. With JARS, we get to give you a little bit more of a in-person, personal taste of what we do. Because it's a training base there in Waxhaw, we have maritime training, we have land transportation training, and we also have the aviation training. And so you can come down from 9 to 4 p.m. and get an experience of that. Go out on a 4x4 ride with our instructors through incredibly arduous trails that I don't know I would ever want to ride on. It's amazing to get to ride with them on it and see how each of the different portions of the organization help and support people around the world. Or you can come and, for me personally, it's like, well, yeah, the helicopter rides are pretty awesome because I get to fly that portion of it, but come get an airplane ride or a helicopter ride and
Sounds like fun.
and see, it's not quite the short 19% slope runways in the mountains, but it's still a bit of shorter runway than you're going to see at Charlotte Douglas and smaller aircraft. And these are all aircraft that, for the most part, are served on the field or we use the exact same type on the field.
Wow, so you really get to experience a little bit, at least
a taste
the
of it.
ride.
Yes.
A little sample. There is also a ceremony actually happening tonight for JARS Aviation alumni, right? What does that recognition mean?
Yes, a gathering of eagles. So we have tremendous history. We're now going into really kind of a fourth generation of pilots. And this is going back and celebrating those in the first and second generation that are still with us and being able to hear the stories, hear what amazing things they were able to be a part of around the world in serving. And so getting a taste of that and celebrating the work that they did and just an amazing opportunity, really.
All right, anything else that we need to know about or learn about before tomorrow and really JARS in general?
No, not really. It's we're just down there in Waxhaw and try to be good neighbors. It'll be a little bit louder with a lot of airplane rides and helicopter rides over
Festive.
this the next 24 hours or so. But no, we just excited to be a part of the community and be able to share what we do with the rest of the community.
And really, what a cool event. It sounds like families are going to love it, kids are going to love it.
Absolutely. There are activities for kids. There's face painting, there are rides, all sorts of things.
That's
Along with a lot of food trucks, I hear, which
And
I'm looking
food
forward
trucks.
to personally.
Well, I was going to say, you need food. You need the food trucks and the food. All right, so JARS Day is tomorrow from 9 a.m. until 4. This is at the JARS Aviation Hangar in Waxhaw. You're worth celebrating what great work you do, the scope of things, and to give us an understanding of the organization. That's really cool. So, Jonathan, we appreciate you coming in here to the Live Impact studio. Thanks for coming today.
Well, thank you so much, Jane.
All right, love that. All right, have a great time this weekend. We're going to get a check of weather, see if the weather cooperates after a little break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Again, if you are heading out this weekend, you're making plans today, this morning, right now, it's a beautiful morning there with a shot over uptown or looking into uptown Charlotte. So a lot to enjoy, including Jars Day in Waxhaw. Our Chris Mulcahy filed a report earlier today on the Plus. This is it. If you want to know what your weather's going to look like, here it is on WCNC Plus.
This is beautiful, right? Look at this. Everywhere you look, we have wall-to-wall sunshine. Now, this is what we've been doing. Same script as the last few days. However, it is a cooler edition. I think at most you will see a few extra upper-level clouds, so that's the only slight difference. And then each day kind of picks up a few additional clouds, definitely noticing it by your Sunday. 42 degrees, that's where we're still at, and our new updates will come out that we're going to quickly warm up over the next hour or so. Still note that is still a local fire danger, and many of you, perfect weather, might want to have a bonfire a little bit later on. Just take the necessary precautions because it is super dry. We've literally had less than 1/10 of an inch of rain for 3 to 4 weeks. That is way too low, so everything is super dry, and of course those leaves as well. Charlotte area across the board, sunshine, 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 and you're going to have an occasional gust up to 20, but I think it's really calmer than the last few days. And then you can see over the next 3, 68, sunshine, 65, more clouds, and then boom, down into the 50s, and we're expecting widespread rain. This is the only day I have a widespread chance. The rest are really kind of in between, scattered activity, and even just isolated for your Thursday. Thursday, honestly, I think it's going to be mainly dry, just maybe some lingering rain in the morning. As far as how much could drop, we're in this range, about 1.5 to 2.5 inches. Could exceed expectations, but that's the general range over the next 7 days. So let's just call it about 2 to 3 inches for the max, and we'll see over the weekend if that will change. By the time you're joining us again here on WCNC Plus in the morning on Monday, I think we will have active rain, and we're also going to have just a widespread rain scenario, but I think we have more wet hours than dry. That's the way it's looking, at least in the near term. Here's Saturday night at 11 p.m. I skipped today because there's not much really to show. Nothing really moves, but there is a big movement heading into your Sunday morning. There are a few avenues of clearing. So what this would likely be is either areas of sunshine mixing with some clouds, or those stratus-cumulus clouds, and at other times it'll be overcast, not a complete gloom and doom scenario. But by the end of the day, watch, you see a bright white take over the entire area. So that means, I think by the end of the afternoon, we have an overcast sky, no sunshine to end the day, and they're also going to have a few on and off light rain showers. These will struggle to hit the ground at first, but then once they get going, kicking into high gear, we're going to have widespread rain. So Sunday night into Monday, that's where the weather pattern all begins, because you got a lot going on. Look at this. This big old low pressure system moving in from the Gulf, crossing the Carolinas, and since it's coming from the Gulf, it has moisture, so that's going to up our rain chances. First legitimate rain chance that we've had in several weeks. And then off towards the west, we also have another low. This is going to have a tough time trying to move east because of how strong this one becomes. This will become another nor'easter that's going to plague the northeast, but it's called a nor'easter, by the way, because of the winds out of the northeast. That's going to keep things quite breezy, possibly some coastal erosion right along the shoreline. And I think Tuesday has a chance for some breaks all in all, scattered rain heading into your Wednesday, and then Wednesday night into Thursday, even a chance for a little wintry mix. Oh boy, yeah, that late fall weather is really taking over. 69, 68, these are the best days over the next 7. After that, the mid-50s with rain. Could see the sunshine a little bit on Tuesday, but this is a whole lot cooler. To think it was just a few weeks ago we had lows around this range. Alas, but 'tis the season. 7-day forecast by your Jerry Hunt Super Center, looking pretty good.
And in today's health story at 9:43 on a Friday morning, a new survey shedding light on the challenges facing patients with advanced colorectal cancer. It's the third most common cancer worldwide. It is the second leading cause of cancer deaths. And as we learn in this report, the findings show that most patients feel overwhelmed at any diagnosis, and they're really looking for more resources. Playing for you this package or this story now from an oncologist and on what you can do.
Colorectal cancer is a type of cancer that begins in colon and or rectum. And in many cases, it would spread to other organs, making it metastatic colorectal cancer or stage 4 colorectal cancer. It is the third most common cancer worldwide and is the second leading cause of cancer-related death. Recently, what we have found is that there has been increased incidence of metastatic colorectal cancer in young patients as well as minority population. There was a survey done where more than 300 patients with metastatic colorectal cancer were surveyed. The survey was commissioned by Takeda, on whose behalf we are here today. And what they found was that majority of the patient felt overwhelmed at the time of their diagnosis. They felt alone in their cancer journey, and they wished they had more power in treatment-making decisions. We are hoping that what we learn from here is that we have more resources to help our patients navigate the complex healthcare system and help them learn to live with metastatic colorectal cancer and go on with their daily lives.
I was between 7 to 8 months pregnant when I was initially feeling the symptoms of colon cancer, and they were masked by my pregnancy. So I was misdiagnosed for about a year, and right after my son turned 1, I was diagnosed in 2017 at the age of 31 with metastatic colon cancer, which is stage 4 colon cancer. And it was devastating to me and my family, because one day you walk into a doctor's office and that same day, within hours, your life is completely different. So that was a heavy pill to swallow at the time, but I knew that I needed to try to figure out whatever I needed to do to make sure that I saw my son grow up and that I could be the best wife that I could be with as much time as I still have left here. And so I took everything I could to find resources and advocacy groups to build my knowledge around what was happening to me and the journey that I was about to embark on. And over time, it led me to be more proactive in the conversations with my doctors, and I really started to steer those conversations as an active patient and not a passive patient. So if everyone would just really put that energy into figuring out how you can navigate this journey, I suggest you go to understandingmcrc.com to also get information on the survey and to figure out how to navigate the MCRC journey.
You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We're going to come back in just 2 minutes. Stay with us. Well, back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus overnight, President Trump saying that he's terminated all trade negotiations with Canada. Meanwhile, some movement on the Homeland Security front, President saying that his programs are making America safe again. Alice Barr from NBC News in Washington with the latest.
President Trump overnight calling off all trade negotiations with Canada over this Government of Ontario ad featuring former President Reagan saying high tariffs lead to retaliation and fierce trade wars.
Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs.
The president citing a statement from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute accusing Ontario of using selective audio and video that misrepresents the 1987 address without asking permission to use and edit the remarks, noting the foundation is reviewing legal options. President Trump accusing Ontario of interfering with a looming Supreme Court case on the legality of his tariffs that he called very important to national security and the economy. That amid growing legal questions over the Trump administration's military strikes against alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean Sea and Eastern Pacific Ocean.
The cartels are waging war on America, and just as I promised in the campaign, we're waging war on them.
The president now suggesting operations may move on land, saying his administration will inform Congress about targeting drug runners on land, but stop short of promising to seek authorization for military force. Democrats in Congress calling for hearings on the strikes that have killed at least 37 people. The administration has not presented evidence there were drugs in all of the boats, though the president is adamant the strikes are legal and necessary to keep drugs out of the country. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Want to talk right now about the violent crime spree that happened yesterday in Charlotte. This was wild, okay? If you watched on WCNC Charlotte yesterday, we brought it to you as breaking news at 4 o'clock. It started as a shooting in West Charlotte around Hoskins Road near Brookshire Boulevard, where 2 people were shot. We learned that they were both taken to the hospital. One later died, and now police investigating this as a homicide as well as assault with a deadly weapon. The second victim in that shooting is in critical condition, so serious injuries after that. And then shortly after, the same suspect who did the shooting off Hoskins Road went to a separate area, committing a home invasion and a kidnapping as well, and forced a woman into her own car and then fled the scene from there. This also happened shortly after. So what ended up happening is the police found the car, and they definitely followed chase, and so the suspect fired at officers, and then multiple patrol cars were struck by gunfire. A crash happened here, as you can see, at Freedom Drive and Moorhead, the suspect crashing the car. A kidnapped woman was able to escape after that crash. And then this led to a foot chase on Moorhead, where the suspect then ran from the crashed car and continued firing at officers. So officers returned fire. Multiple officers shot the suspect, and that suspect was shot and killed at the scene. So if you followed all of that, you can tell it was a wild scene. 2 scenes. One started with a shooting, 2 people hurt, 1 was killed, and then we ended with a second scene with a home invasion, a kidnapping, and then a police pursuit leading to a crash. The suspect was then killed. All right, so Chief Johnny Jennings did conduct a press conference yesterday. This was around almost 6 o'clock. So you saw it here on WCNC Plus. We're going to air this for you in its entirety. He answered questions from local media. And then just to let you know, give you a heads up, that this happened in District 2. That is City Council Member Malcolm Graham's district. We are awaiting his arrival here. He is going to speak on these incidents in his district coming up at 10 o'clock. So stay with us here for Live Impact News, a conversation with Councilmember Malcolm Graham, on this officer-involved shooting. In the meantime, yesterday's press conference with CMPD Chief Johnny Jennings.
Yes, sir. All right. Good evening. So just to kind of give you an update of where we are, this afternoon about a little bit after 4 o'clock p.m. on Hoskins Road, our officers received and were dispatched to a call for service in reference to multiple shots that were fired, as well as assault with a deadly weapon. And when officers arrived, they located 2 people who were injured that were transported to the hospital. One person at the hospital was pronounced deceased. The other person is currently in critical condition. Around that same time in the same area, officers received a call that there was a kidnapping home invasion. And responding to that, they were able to locate the vehicle in that case. The suspect was driving that vehicle at the time. Officers gave a vehicle pursuit, and while they were chasing the driver of the vehicle fired multiple rounds at our officers, striking police cars. Then he crashed his vehicle at Freedom and Moorhead, where he jumped and ran, and officers then chased him on foot. As they were chasing him on foot, he continued to fire rounds at our officers, and as he approached officers on Moorhead, pointed a firearm at those officers, and those officers then returned fire, striking the suspect. The suspect is deceased on the scene. The firearm that he was using is on the scene as well. All of our officers were fine. No officers were injured. There were 4 officers that were transported to the hospital just for precautionary measures. Also, the State Bureau of Investigation will be taking over the investigation of the officer-involved shooting, but the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department will be conducting the investigation on the homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, and the kidnapping charge. So there's a lot of moving parts here, a lot of different crime scenes. There's probably more that's going to come out of all of this, but at this point, that's the preliminary information that we can give you. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can, but just know that it's still early, a lot of different scenes, and we're still piecing a lot of this together.
Chief, first off, good evening.
Good evening.
I want to just clarify, you said officers were fired upon in between the two scenes. Was it while they were driving, taking fire?
That's correct. While they were driving, and also when the subject jumped out of the vehicle, he continued to fire at our officers.
I know your officers are okay overall, but what are they going through right now?
I mean, that's tough, and that's a really good question, because you never can quite understand. A lot of these officers are still are newer officers as well, but to be in a situation where you're simply responding to a call for service, or you're trying to bring a closure to an investigation, and then to take on gunfire is very traumatic for officers, and that's one reason why we let them. They get transported to the hospital. They get checked out to make sure everything's fine. We also have to make sure that we are taking care of them mentally as well, through peer support and any other means that are necessary. So.
Does it appear that home invasion was random?
It's still too early to tell. Like I said, we're still piecing a lot of different things together. So I can't really say that, what the motive was for the home invasion, what the motive was for the shooting and the homicide and the assault with a deadly weapon at this point. So we're going to try to work through that and piece it together.
Can you give us more information about the kidnapping? Who was involved? How are they doing? Can you tell us ages of the people who were kidnapped?
Yeah, I don't know the ages right offhand. It was a female that was involved, that was kidnapped that was forced into her vehicle. It was her vehicle that the suspect was driving. When he crashed here at the intersection of Freedom and Moorhead, she was able to get out of the vehicle and escape and go to safety. We were able to locate her and confirm that she was okay. And so she's able to cooperate with us and to give us information. She's at the police headquarters right now, being interviewed by our detectives.
Was there any children involved?
No children that I know of at this point.
Chief, the shooting at Hoskins, did this suspect know those individuals who he shot at?
Yeah, that's still some of those answers that we have to figure out. There's no indication at this point that he did know them, but as we move through the investigation, we're going to try to figure what that motive was, why he was engaged and encountered with those individuals that he shot, and we'll just have to take it from there. But like I said, the State Bureau of Investigation is going to be doing the investigation on our officer-involved shooting, but we will be handling that investigation.
You say police cars were shot.
Yes.
Can you paint a picture as to where some of those bullets landed and just how many shots might have actually hit police cars?
Yeah, I don't have all that information right now. There are bullet holes in multiple police vehicles. So the suspect did fire multiple rounds at our officers, and by the grace of God, none of our officers were hit and injured. So.
Can you tell us how many years of service these officers, in range of service these officers involved?
I can't right now. I'm going to leave. As soon as I leave here, I'm going to go to the hospital. I'm going to go and visit our officers and have a talk with them, make sure they're okay, and check in with them. So again, there's still a lot going on. I can tell you there were some officers that were in their training phase that were involved out here. So we're going to make sure that all of our officers are okay and doing well.
To clarify, can you say if it was multiple officers who fired back at the suspect, or was it just one?
No, there were multiple officers that fired at the suspect. That's still being looked at and see exactly who fired how many rounds. So that's going to take a little bit to kind of get through all that, looking at the body-worn camera footage. I did have the opportunity to see some of the footage from our helicopter download, and just to be able to look at and see what we're dealing with and what we're dealing with right here.
Can you just speak? This is just before rush hour that this happened.
Yeah.
And it's finished out here. It's not like you guys are searching for hours for a kidnapping suspect. Yeah. Can you just speak to the work that went in and the quick work that went into it?
Yeah, it's fantastic work by our officers. If they wouldn't have located this individual as quickly as they did, I think that lives were saved. Unfortunately, lives were lost, but we also had lives that were saved because of the quick response by our officers. So to be able to locate the vehicle as quickly as they did, to take the action that they did, and to take the suspect that was involved, and to make sure that we had closure to this investigation is just phenomenal work. I can't say enough about the officers and what they put themselves in danger to do to help protect others and our citizens. And I'm just proud at this point of the footage that I was able to view and witness of how we responded and reacted to a very, very dangerous situation.
All right, thanks, guys. We're gonna. Who died? In the kidnapping. He's also the suspect in the original shooting.
That's correct. Yeah, he's the suspect. He's the only suspect that we have in this investigation.
All right, we're gonna let Chief get to the hospital, guys. Neighbors, if they have anything, just send them.
Yes, if anybody has any information, yeah, we always encourage to make sure you reach out to us at CMPD, and if you have any video footage, anything like that, we are interested in that. But thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Chief.
All right.
And we'll be speaking to Councilman Malcolm Graham after the break. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. So a violent crime spree, if you haven't heard, spanned multiple locations in West Charlotte, ending in a deadly officer-involved shooting yesterday early evening. Left one person dead, the suspect dead, 2 people altogether wounded, and a woman kidnapped before police fatally shot the suspect. This happened all in District 2, represented by City Council member Malcolm Graham, who joins us now here in the Live Impact studio. Thanks for coming in such short notice, Mr. Graham. Happening in your district, what was your initial reaction?
Yeah, so disconcerting, right? Yesterday I was at a press conference at 2 o'clock talking about public safety as it relates to things that we were doing in Uptown to ensure, which is a part of District 2 as well, to ensure that the residents of Uptown, those who go uptown to play, those who work uptown, feel safe. Cleaning the sidewalks after 2 a.m. in the morning, replacing broken benches, more police officers on the street. Really just kind of talking about some of the things that we're trying to do to ensure that people in Uptown feel safe. 2 hours later, we get texts in reference to an incident that occurred where, as you indicated, 2 were dead, a kidnapping, a car chase, ending with the perpetrator dead in the middle of the street. It's disconcerting for those in Charlotte who believe that Charlotte is not safe, because if you don't feel safe, you're not safe. And that's certainly a visible bad example of the reality of what's happening in Charlotte as relates to public safety. A very visible example that occurred in the late afternoon during rush hour that started in a neighborhood, went on our freeways, and landed up on a major street in our community. We can't stand for that. We still don't know all the particulars about the perpetrator. We do know that there was loss of life, and that our CMPD officers responded heroically and courageously, identified the threat, and unfortunately put down the threat in our community. And so I'm just heartbroken that yet again, as we try to make positive steps forward, addressing a wide variety of perception issues, but perception is reality. Right. And yesterday was real, and people were killed, and yet again we're responding to a violent incident in our community.
Yeah, public safety, we've been talking now, it seems like for months, about the top of mind that this conversation is really about, public safety, violent crimes, and that this seems random. I know we're still learning the details, and there's no motive yet, according to the chief. And the trend, like you said, perceived by folks in the Charlotte area or even visiting Charlotte, it seems like it's an isolated incident, but yeah, how do you fight against this current topic right now?
Well, public safety is the team sport. And so it's just not what the city can do, it's what we all can do. We certainly need help from the North Carolina General Assembly. We simply just have too many guns on the street. When you talk about a lot of these incidents, 90% of them involve a gun. The proliferation of guns, the easy accessibility of guns, people willing to pull the trigger, not using any conflict resolution skills before pulling the trigger is a major cause of what's happening. So we need help from the General Assembly on gun laws. We need help from the General Assembly relating to magistrate reform, right? And more funding for the district attorney's office, more funding for public offenders, for technology in our court system. We need to work with the county as well as the state for more resources for mental illness and mental health. Certainly nonprofit organizations and churches, and working with our youth and youth offenders, making sure that we provide a roadmap for our young people, a diversion from doing terrible things that end up impacting their lives and the lives of many members of the community. So youth diversion programs, alternatives to violence programs that we have, all these programs and services the city currently, as well as our county partners, have always had. It's just the proliferation of the guns in our community, the high visibility of what's happening. Yesterday was high visibility, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, multiple locations. It shocks the conscience, and then everyone, rightly so, is upset, disturbed, and points back that somehow Charlotte is not safe. So we have to work towards that, and unfortunately, there's no microwave solutions. You can't put crime in a microwave and push a minute and we resolve it. It's going to take the stamina of a marathon runner, all of us leaning in, city, county, state, nonprofits, churches, to provide common sense solutions to a wide variety of problems that are really, really hard.
Yeah, do we talk about, there's so many aspects to it, like you mentioned, and is it something that we chip away at the same time, simultaneously? Is it sense of putting the right sources towards one thing first, like paying it down? What's the approach?
I think it's a team effort. Like I said, I think that we have to do multiple things simultaneously, right? We have to continue to have conversations with our state legislators and those in the General Assembly, many of whom, have a different political affiliation, but being a Democrat or a Republican should not matter. What matters is, do we have a responsible approach to providing solutions for crime in our community? How do we work with those who provide mental health services within our community? Do they have the adequate resources to do their job effectively and efficiently? Do we have enough police officers on the street, right? And certainly that falls within the jurisdiction of the city of Charlotte in terms of making sure that we have police officers, 911 operators, those who provide the type of response necessary to crime in our community, right? And so I can go on and on. So it's a team sport. It's all of those things have to be done simultaneously on different fronts, because there are different organizations, different government agencies that have different priorities and ownership of some of these issues. Again, the city of Charlotte has nothing to do with the magistrate's office at all, have no jurisdiction with that at all. We have no jurisdiction over mental health, although we do provide some resources to those agencies that does. We do lean in on the unhoused population in terms of housing, but no direct jurisdictional control over mental health. And so all of us have to provide the services that we own and lean forward in a collaborated, coordinated fashion.
Absolutely. Your residents, what are they asking of you, and what are they telling you after, certainly yesterday, but certainly in the past 60-plus days now?
Well, everyone's just a little bit uneasy. There's a sense of uneasiness in our community. Now, I think it was 2 weeks ago, the days are going by so quick now, the CMPD released their crime report and demonstrated that all the stats were moving in the right direction, whether it was violent crime, property crime, overall crime, all down. People really don't feel that at all, right? A week after that, there was 4 shootings within 48 hours.
Right. Mm-hmm.
A 3-year-old was injured. They had the incident that occurred yesterday. And so there's this sense of uneasiness, whether it's in Uptown, whether it's on our corridors of opportunities, whether it's Beatty'sford Road or I-85 in Sugar Creek, Reagan Drive, whether it's Milton Road and off the plaza. Everyone throughout this community feels that something different is happening, that there's a sense of individuals losing control. And again, part of what we also have to do, and the community doesn't do it because they just see the news report every morning. Yeah. Most of these aren't like the young lady that was killed on the transit station, right? That was unfortunate. There she is minding her own business, and she's attacked and killed. Or, again, we don't know what happened yesterday, but certainly someone was in their own home, minding their business, and all of a sudden they're caught up in a car chase with CMPD, no fault of their own. Those are isolated incidents, for sure.
Yeah.
Most of the crime are done by people that know one another, right? So it's not targeted to a stranger. And so when something like this happens yesterday, where someone is pulled into this, or the young lady that was on the transit where she was coming home from work and was just killed, it shocks the conscience. It raised everyone's antennas that somehow we have to rally around a comprehensive approach to solving what is a real issue of crime in our community. Can't back away from it.
Exactly. What do you feel is your assessment of CMPD's response? Chief Jennings said that they saved lives by responding and locating the suspect as quickly as they did. Do they perform well?
They do. So this is really not about what CMPD is not doing. they have always done a tremendous job in protecting and serving the community, whether it's in uptown Charlotte or on Beatty'sford Road or West Boulevard or Ballantyne, University City. Throughout the district, throughout the city, the men and women who wear the uniforms perform at a very, very high level. They respond to crime, right? In many cases, they try to prevent the crime before it occurs. And yesterday, their response, how they handle that situation based on what I've read and what I was briefed on, should be highlighted as how we want our officers to respond in a crisis. Unfortunately, when violence is used by police officers, that has to be reviewed. But I think upon review, and again, based on the information that I know and have been briefed on, I think they deserve high remarks for the service that they rendered on yesterday.
What message do you have for Charlotteans who witnessed this particular incident, because there were so many scenes involved, or perhaps shaken by what happened in their neighborhood, and those involved with who might be family members of the officers involved with this?
Well, I think for the community at large, first, I think each and every citizen in our community must really, when they're involved in disagreements, arguments, have to de-escalate quickly, right? Find some self-control, put the guns down, and don't pull the trigger. That seems to be the default position by so many others in this community, by just pulling a gun and shooting and asking questions later. And so there has to be some restraint from members of the community. Secondly, those members of the community who are impacted by crime, who saw what happened yesterday, know that our city, and I only can speak for me as the district representative and someone who serves on the public safety task force for Uptown Charlotte, who's been really leaning in on public safety issues well beyond the latest episodes before the killing on the transit, that we have to, and we will continue to do, policing our community a lot more assertively, not aggressively, but really being a lot more assertive in addressing crime, even minor crimes. It's like the broken window syndrome, right? If you don't fix the broken window, then something else happens, right? So we have to be a lot more assertive in addressing crimes and how we police our community, and we hope that our citizens will cooperate and with our police officers when approach, and give them the respect that they deserve. And lastly, that we will, our commitment, and public safety is the city's top priority, that we will continue to police our community, that we will continue to work to ensure that if you're a mother walking your kid in Uptown Charlotte, that you should be safe. If you live on any of our corridors of opportunities, that you should be safe. If you're a visitor living in our hotels, whether you're in a hotel in South Park, University City, and Uptown, that you're safe. If you're coming to a Panthers game this weekend, we have a big game. Over 60,000 folks will be coming to see the Panthers and the Bills play. A huge game for us.
Yep.
That you feel safe coming to the game in a mass crowd like that. And so a wide variety of efforts, seen and unseen, are being made to ensure that public safety is at the foremost of everything that we do, all major events. Certainly what we're doing on our transit system, additional police officers there, private police there as well, the transit station itself, buses, streetcars. And so the awareness throughout the city is very, very high. Unfortunately, we can't have a police on every corner, and even when we do, like some instances in Uptown where there's a police officer right there, shootings still occur. And so
Right.
it's It's growing pains as a community, pains that we don't want. But I think if you wake up and watch the news in Austin, Texas, or Nashville, Tennessee, or Atlanta, Georgia, or Washington, D.C., some of the common themes are there in terms of how their cities are dealing with their crime issues. However, this is Charlotte, and we are accustomed to this, and we have to ensure that everyone feels safe and secure no matter where they live, work, or play.
I think that's well said. And the growing pains of Charlotte, indeed. As we feel that, Councilmember Malcolm Graham wants you to feel safe. It sounds like, you're doing what you can do. CMPD is out there. We have a lot of events in the Queen City putting really a focus and spotlight on this great city of ours. And I think that with that in mind, we appreciate you coming in and addressing certainly after yesterday.
And then lastly, to all the citizens, if you see something, say something.
There you go.
That again, public safety is a team sport. And in neighborhoods, communities, in the malls, if you see something, say something, call 911. That's what they're there for, and they will respond accordingly.
Yeah, it starts small if you feel like you can't make a little difference, but you can. And, oh, by the way, have you talked to the woman who was kidnapped? Any word on her condition or her? Still
too early, right? So
right.
we're waiting to get more information from CMPD. My thoughts and prayers obviously are with her,
sure.
And again, we don't know the circumstances behind what happened there, so more information to come.
All right. Councilmember Malcolm Graham from District 2 coming in to talk to us about yesterday's officer-involved shooting, spanning a couple of scenes there from Hoskins Road out to the crash on Brookshire and Freedom Drive. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And we'll be back on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus at 10:25. Of course, the other story is the NBA players involved in a gambling scheme. The FBI making arrests 31 people or so yesterday, including former Charlotte Hornets player Terry Rozier, and a lot of reaction to his arrest for this FBI gambling probe. Our Colin Mayfield yesterday spoke to Walker Mell from Locked On Ron Hornets, who's very familiar with covered the Hornets for a long time, and talking about the impact to the NBA. Let's play a part of this for you now here on WCNC Plus in case you missed it yesterday.
Walker Mell from WFNZ. Walker, a lot has happened today in this indictment where 30 individuals have been, I guess, talked about in this illegal gambling ring. There are two different situations ongoing here. So I'll just set the scene here while you're obviously going to talk to us a little bit about Terry Rozier and how he is involved in this. But there are two situations. One of the cases is dubbed Operation Nothing But Bet. The other one is dubbed Operation Royal Flush, which is really talking about 31 defendants who were in this plot to rig underground poker games. Now, Mr. Rozier was involved in the other plot, it seems like. And there's a timeline about this. And in the NBC article, Walker talks about specifically the March 23rd game of 2023 when the Hornets were facing the Pelicans. And then allegedly Mr. Rozier telling a family friend about going down with an injury. So let's talk about this. Set the scene for us. You covered and have covered the Hornets so much over the last decade or so, and you were really front and center when Terry Rozier was here playing for Charlotte. You know, was a favorite player for a lot of folks on the Hornets. Talk about that timeline and really, you know, what kind of sticks out in your mind from this case that we're seeing today?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. So, yeah, I was covering it front and center. I didn't know what I guess I was covering front and center at the time until all this information comes out today, which is, you know, pretty alarming within the league, I think is safe to say. So with Terry Rozier, you mentioned that game. You mentioned that game in March 2023, where, yeah, he told a childhood friend that he was going to be exiting the game early before it was public knowledge. And that's the real issue at hand. And that, okay, you tell your friend that you're going to exit the game early before it's public knowledge. Now what your friend can do, and it's allegedly what he did, was that he sold information that Terry told him to different people, different bettors, associates, and then their proxy bettors. And all of these people made money off of something that was not public knowledge in a controlled environment, when the very nature of gambling is something that is supposed to be a non-controlled environment. You are taking a risk, and then you remove a ton of that risk once you get this information, and you're able to profit hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then so the real issue as well is the fact that his friend allegedly flew up to Philadelphia to collect the funds and then drove to Terry Rozier's house, allegedly afterwards, to where they counted the money. So this is a big issue with Terry Rozier and the NBA at this point. You mentioned the other operation that Terry Rozier is not involved in. Chauncey Billups is. Damon Jones actually is the former NBA player that was this indirect coach with the Lakers for quite some time over the last couple of seasons, but he's involved in both cases as well. And so with the Terry, the specifics of it is with Terry being a part of it, that kind of puts the spotlight on the Charlotte Hornets in some level, even if the Hornets aren't accused of any wrongdoing, not accused of having any knowledge of the situation at hand as it was going on. What's interesting to me is that Brian Windhorst on the Rich Eisen show earlier today said, with Terry Rozier going out of that game in 2023, he actually wouldn't play another game that season. So we all thought at the time it was because of this injury that was being reported on, except now it doesn't look like it was an injury. Again, this is all alleged. And so the NBA could have just pulled him and said, you're not allowed to play another game. So if that was the case, the Hornets have to know something is going on. I don't know what. That's all speculation as far as what the NBA would have told him, what would have been said to Terry Rozier, and how much anybody knew at the time. We just know that Terry didn't.
We're going to put a pause in that conversation reaction. Of course, it is still buzzing today. My head's still spinning from yesterday's news with the NBA players, coaches, Coach Chauncey Billups, of course, and former Hornets player Terry Rozier involved in an FBI probe arrest because of a huge gambling scheme. All right. And if you want to see that in its entirety, you can go to our YouTube page. It's also on our WCNC website and inside the WCNC app. Today, marking now the 24th day of the federal government shutdown, leaving hundreds of thousands of federal workers without paychecks. They're scrambling, trying to make ends meet. For many families, that financial strain is real. Those mounting bills are coming due, and savings are dwindling. So joining us here live in the Live Impact studio in WCNC Plus, Mark Henry with Alloy Wealth Management to discuss what affected workers can do right now. Mark, thank you again for coming in on short notice here, but this is a huge story, right?
Yep, it really is.
Give us the latest on where things stand now with the shutdown and what federal workers are facing.
Well, unfortunately, the shutdown's definitely going to extend to next week. It's going to go at least that long. The Senate's already left town. They're home.
Right, right.
So that's not happening. You know, it was close yesterday. It looked like they had an attempt to try to get federal workers paid, and Democrats blocked it. 3 crossed the aisle to help join the proposal to start getting paychecks flowing to federal workers that do come in. But 3 wasn't enough.
They needed 6, yes.
Right, they needed 6. But it got closer.
Right,
so that is
right.
the good news. Let's go with good news.
Sure.
We needed a few more, but it got close. So that would have ensured that federal workers continue to get the work through the shutdown, keep receiving a paycheck. So bottom line is we've got a problem, and there's a lot of these workers that are really hurting right now.
Yeah. When that first paycheck doesn't arrive, definitely scary. Now we're into 4 weeks of it not happening. And now people are worried about things like their credit scores,
Sure.
in addition
They
to
should.
actually paying their bills. They should worry.
Right, they should. And so we have to take proactive, not reactive, proactive.
Proactive.
It's time, if your emergency fund, and that's what you have it for, if you have one, this is when you use it. Let's not get behind on the bills. Now, if you don't have one, and again, one said that they would have trouble, 37% said they would have trouble covering a $400 emergency. That's like, this is bad. So
Wow.
we have to really go, what are we going to do? Okay, so if that is you, all right, we're in a place we don't want to be. We're not getting a paycheck, no fault of yours, but it's time to do something about it. We got to pick up the phone. So there are programs available. Many of the lenders, if you call them right now, you're not late, maybe you're late, going to be late, the first is coming and you're going to be late. Let's tell them we can't pay. I'm a furloughed worker, here's where I work, here's my job, I cannot pay you because I have no paycheck. And I may not get the paycheck in time.
Okay.
And let's tell them up front.
Right.
And they're going to help you. These lenders do not want to ruin your credit. I believe that in my heart. And they want to help you through this. Now, I'm talking about home loans. I'm talking about car loans. They will do things like we'll skip a payment. We'll give you a payment holiday. I was literally in a credit union yesterday that had signs up that said, if you are a furloughed worker, talk to us today about skipping a payment holiday.
Oh, that's great.
Right?
Encouraging news. I didn't know that. So,
Right.
so those are a couple of things you can do right now while we
Right now.
wait.
That's
okay.
right.
And then let's talk about the emergency funds. So, ideally, we want 6 months in there.
Right, we really do. And this is an example why. But many people right now, and if you're listening and hearing this and you're like, well, I don't have that. Okay, maybe you're not a furloughed worker, but that doesn't mean you might get furloughed at your company
Right.
or cut loose. You have to have this emergency fund. It's why it's so important. But now many credit unions and some local banks are offering low or no interest bridge loans for furloughed workers. They're saying, look, come in, we'll give you a very low interest loan to help you get some money in, to bridge until you get your paycheck.
Gotcha.
What I'd be very wary of is payday lenders. These lenders that you go into and say, I didn't get my check, okay, we'll give you some cash, and when you get paid, you pay us. But unfortunately, the interest on those loans is going to be astronomical. They're hard money lenders, and they can just give you the money right now, but they're going to charge you the most legally allowed.
Okay, which is
It's going to be out of sight. It's not going to be worth it.
Not worth
You
it.
got to go to your credit unions and your banks.
Okay.
Now, where else can we go? Well, so we've wiped out our emergency fund, or we didn't have one. We've tried the furlough with the loans. That's not working. We've called the lenders. We're delaying what we can, but we still need money.
We still
Okay,
need money,
so
right.
last resorts, 401k potentially. We have to look at the tax impacts. But let me be very clear. I will pay taxes at some point in my future. I can get cash today. Sometimes that's going to be the only option. It's like you've reached this place in the road through no fault of your own. You got 3 decisions, they're all bad. Well, I'm going to go with the tax one, and I'll worry about taxes in the future. I would talk to a professional about it before I did it, but I would have to, if it's a matter of eating or not eating.
Sure.
A matter of keeping my credit score. Your credit score is that important to me.
Wow. Okay. And when paychecks do resume,
Yes.
what is the first financial move federal workers should do to avoid being in this position again?
Right. Well, obviously, we're going to use the paychecks that come in because you are going to get them, and I believe that in my heart it's going to happen soon. I really believe that. We've got to get the parties to agree at least on something, and let's get money coming in.
Right.
Okay, so we get the government open. Now what do? We pay the bills? Great. Now what? It's going to happen again at some point in your life.
Oh.
It will. It's the truth. So this is why we learn from what just happened to us, and we work on getting an emergency fund. And you might be thinking, well, Mark, you don't understand. I don't have enough money left at the end of the month. Well, that's a spending problem. I do understand because I've had them. And guess what? We got to cut the spending. Where's the money going? We've talked about it before, Jane, but where is it going? Let's get rid of all the things that are not necessary.
Like?
Well, all the stuff that automatically comes out of your account. The streaming services. We don't need them all. Pick one.
We don't, Carlene.
Pick one.
We don't need them
Pick
all.
Pick one. Let's shop. Let's pick one. Gym memberships. Remember, there was a day in my life I had 3 and I didn't use any of them.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, come on. Let's get rid of everything that can come out. That's the easy win.
That's easy. Okay.
Now let's go to the next ones. And for some people, it may be that, yes, we still have a budget problem or a spending problem where we can't get it any lower, and that means we're going to have to take on a second job.
Oh.
We got to do whatever it takes to get this emergency fund fully funded so we never have to go through this again.
Okay. And we're talking 6 months of
Yes.
emergency funds, of being able to pay your bills, including your rent, your
Everything.
mortgage, your car. Okay. For someone watching right now who's really stressed about money, besides the emergency fund, what do you want them to remember?
They can do this. They're not special, and I hate to say it that way, but they're not special. Millions of people have found themselves in this exact same position, and they got out. There's so many places with allowed budgeting, groups that are online, Facebook groups, and we talk about social media sometimes as being such a bad thing. There's ways it's a great thing. Get in one of these groups with other people trying to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish with.
Yeah.
Meet with them every Wednesday night on Facebook or on YouTube or some group setting, a Zoom, where you're helping encourage others and they're encouraging you to make the right decisions and get yourself out of debt. When you have this 6-month emergency fund, you won't believe how good it feels. When you finally see your debt going down, I literally talked to a young person the other day that is 30 years old, been out of school over 6 years and made the last payment on his student loan. And he said he just feels free for
Fantastic.
the first
Oh,
time
that's gotta be a great
in his
feeling.
life.
Oh, I dream of that day.
Right, he just feels free.
Carlene's trying to pay
He's
her.
free.
Yes, I'm still trying to pay down. I dream of the day.
Oh, it is great. I remember. Yeah, I had to
And so
defer for a couple
he has
of years.
that feeling, and you can have that as well that's listening. But you didn't get into this overnight, and you're not going to get out overnight.
Right, right.
But get some people around you to encourage you to get this done.
All right. You can do it. You can do it, Carlene. You're able to pay off that loan.
I know.
One day.
It does
Chip
feel
away.
like a mountain.
It does.
It does feel like a mountain of
Yeah.
just student loan debt.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does. All right. And, positive news to be taken from here. Again, we are getting closer to a vote, hopefully passing some kind of funding bill to get folks back on their feet again.
Yeah, it's just it's mind-boggling that our government can't just pay the workers.
Yeah. Right.
Forget the politics of it. We got to get people paid.
Yeah. Oh, I'm throwing an audible here, Mark. Inflation, this is just breaking. Did you see this? That inflation hit 3%
Yes.
in September,
Okay.
reflecting stubborn price pressures.
Yeah.
What does that say to you? What should we know at home?
It's something we've already talked about, but remember, inflation, even at 3%, is way down from what it was. That's good news. 3% is higher than we want. That's bad news. But at the end of the day, you have to remember, prices are still extremely high. just because inflation tumbled down a little bit or now went up a little bit, it doesn't change the prices. The prices now may go up a little bit, but they never went down. Just because inflation went down, the price didn't go down. So if you were struggling a year ago under the higher inflation than we have now, you're going to be struggling just as bad now or worse, because prices, when inflation goes down, prices don't go down. They just go up slower.
Okay.
That's the problem. Prices are just going up slower than they were. They were already extremely high. You can give a couple of crazy examples like fuel prices because we're producing more energy, or egg prices. Okay, other than those two, there's really not many others. You know, real estate market, I think we're in a balanced market right now. It's not a buyer's market. It's not really a seller's market. We didn't have a crash, but it's kind of just a lukewarm, you know, there's not multiple offers on houses, but they're selling. People are buying, and it's kind of a balanced market. But price-wise, prices are high.
They're still high.
And inflation is a stubborn thing, and it's very sticky, and it's going to be around for a while.
All right. More reason why you need to get that 6-month emergency fund going. Mark Henry from Alloy Wealth, appreciate you as always, as we will continue to visit what matters, and it's where's the money, you know? Where's that money going? Where's it coming from?
That's right.
We need it to live, unfortunately. All right. Thanks a lot. We're going to take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
I just love coming in here.
All right, welcome back here to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. As we come up on 10:45 right now, I want to bring you some breaking news, and unfortunately very sad, from Lincoln County. Lincoln County emergency responders reporting that they found the body of a missing kayaker, Mr. Pablo Benitez Neri. His body has been located. They extended their deepest condolences to the family and friends during this time. The body discovered yesterday, just after 7:30 last night, near the Cohen's Ford Dam in the Catawba River. Lincoln County Emergency Services thanking all agencies, as this was a multi-agency response assisting in the search and recovery operations. So sad news there, as the body of Benitez Neri was found in Mountain Island Lake, reported missing since last weekend. And he was out with a buddy, I believe, out fishing, and his kayak just kind of flipped over, overturned, and then went missing since then. So we extend our condolences to the Neri family there out of Lincolnton. All right, back out here, 1045. Again, we were listening to the conversation between our Colin Mayfield and Walker Meal from Locked On Hornets about Terry Rozier's arrest, among other folks from the NBA in this major gambling probe from the FBI. We'll continue with that here now on WCNC+.
Rest of that 2023 season. Eventually, he would play the following year with Charlotte for a while before he was traded to the Miami Heat. So, yeah, a lot of interesting stuff coming out of all of it, and it'll be fascinating to see how Adam Silver and the NBA respond.
Well, let's just talk through this, right? A very convoluted situation here, Walker. And it says in this article that, Rozier's choreographed exit in that 2023 game against the Pelicans was just one example of the information sharing system at work. And in fact, Damon Jones, who we've seen in the NBA, has been a prominent person himself, sold information apparently on a prominent NBA player's injury to bettors while he was an unofficial assistant coach for the LA Lakers. You kind of alluded to that in February of 2023. So they have a number of these situations. In fact, when the game started that night, fans and viewers learned that LeBron James was out with a sore left ankle and foot, according to a game recap from that time. So it will be very interesting to see who else is related to this, because this is, again, as we've specified, just one part of this case. The other dealt with, obviously, Chauncey Billups, as you said, kind of being the face for these type of gambling games where they would lure in these high-stakes poker players using some type of contact lenses that would literally read these cards, Walker. I don't know if you've read this. And then also x-ray table machines that would help him win. And at some point he would have to lose so it wouldn't become obviously in their face, right? So folks would think that this could be something that they would look into. But it was just out today that 4 of the 5 crime families from New York, we're talking the Genovese, the Lucchese, the Gambino, and there's another one that were involved in this, where these illicit funds were apparently going to. So it will be very interesting to see, again, who is wrapped up in this, because it seems like some prominent players are involved. And again, even though the name LeBron James is involved in this, this is not to say that he was directly indicted in this. But again, numerous incidents that they have. And again, just to bring this to fruition, the NBA denied any wrongdoing, not too long ago with Terry Rozier's case, right?
Yeah, they did. And then it was reported months after that actually wasn't the case, that they were a little too quick to jump the gun on that situation. And so the FBI had been investigating the situation with Terry for quite some time. So you brought up all of it, right? I think the real issue is what Kash Patel of FBI said was insider trading within the association, within the NBA. You have this knowledge that you can directly benefit from before the rest of the public knows, and you're able to profit hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how much you were willing to bet on these prop bets specifically, right? Because you're not betting on spreads, which is the amount of points that a team might win by or lose by. You're not betting on money lines, which is just outright winning and losing. You're betting on player props, and what you're doing is you're betting on the under for these player props, because you have firsthand knowledge before anybody else knows about a player either leaving the game early. Before the game happens, he's going to leave the game early. So the idea is that you bet the under, you bet a lot of money on the under. Well, if you can't reach some of those marks, that's hard to reach in, let's say, 30 minutes, you're not going to reach it within 10 minutes. In the Terry Rozier case, the 9 minutes and 34 seconds that he played in that game against New Orleans in 2023. So this is the idea that you can just put a whole bunch of money on the under for whatever player you expect to leave early or that has an injury. And in the Chauncey Billups case, for instance, Portland was really going to amplify their tanking measures in order to get a better pick in the 2023 NBA draft. They were really going to turn that up at a certain point in the season, and it just so happens to align with when there were some bets coming in on the Trailblazers losing a lot more, right? The very idea of tanking is that you're purposefully going to lose as an organization, even if the players aren't outright throwing games. The players don't tank, the organizations do, and the coaches know about it. The coaches are mandated by the front office to play players that aren't as good. So Damian Lillard wasn't playing at a certain time all the way back a couple of years ago with the alleged incident, and he actually wouldn't play another game. I believe they lost 15 of the last 17 games, and money started coming in right at the very beginning of that losing streak, which at the very, very least looks fishy. So yeah, there's a lot out there in terms of what Chauncey Billups was accused of in terms of allowing others to know this information, giving insider information away and selling it. Same thing with Damon Jones selling some of that inside information on the Lakers front, and same thing with Terry Rozier selling inside information on what he himself was going to do. So it's an awful look, even if the NBA itself is not having any part in the control of these games. I know a lot of conversations or conspiracy theorists might say that the NBA is rigging it. At worst, I think the NBA is going to be guilty of negligence for allowing Terry Rozier to play the following year, right? Because he didn't play the rest of that 2023 season as soon as he took himself out of the game, but he ended up playing at the beginning of the 2024 year. And the real issue, too, is that the gambling sites actually let the NBA know as soon as they got all of this money on the under for some of the Terry Rozier props. So the NBA knew that these bets were flagged. So they knew exactly the risk that was being taken here, which is why they might have pulled Terry Rozier. And okay, you pull him, he doesn't play the rest of that season, but then why is he playing the following year? Well, it could be because in your investigation within the NBA, you decided that there was no evidence of wrongdoing. Okay, but now with these allegations, it looks quite bad. So the NBA is going to have to answer for that. Either you're going to have to answer for why you allowed Terry Rozier to play that following season, or you're going to have to answer for why you found him not guilty of any wrongdoing within your investigation.
Great answer. I got to ask you, because his attorney, Rozier's attorney, earlier today, even on WCNC Plus, we had a live interview. We heard him talk about Jontay Porter, that this wasn't a Jontay Porter case. And as many people probably remember, Jontay was given the death penalty for the NBA, basically, to not play again, pleading guilty in federal court because of the alleged betting that he had done on NBA games and disclosing of confidential information in his own participation to bettors. Do you see any similarities between either case? Neither one of us are law experts, but you've been covering, sports, and we've seen just the turnover and how betting has become a huge thing. I mean, even ESPN Bets, they run that crawl throughout their entire show. So it's hard to get away from, especially in sports right now. Do you see any similarities to this? Because as I said, he brought up the Jontay Porter situation. There seems to be similarities, but also some vast differences as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Just to simply answer your question, yes, there's absolutely similarities here. The similarities are that you allow people to know you're not going to play in the game, or you're going to leave the game very, very early. So now these people can take advantage of these unders on prop bets. They know you are not going to reach the mark, and therefore they can profit, in this case, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so Jontay Porter, with the NBA conducting an investigation themselves, they found all the evidence of wrongdoing because there wasn't a whole lot of discretion used here, right? Like, this isn't the smartest of activity via all of the crime that's going on. When you're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars or $100,000 on random NBA props in the middle of March, that's going to raise some flags. And again, going back to that previous point, gambling sites flagged this. They are incentivized to catch this sort of thing so they can go preach to their consumer, hey, it's all fair. There's no funny business going on around here. They want to be able to sell that to their consumer. So this is not great for business, right? People don't want to feel like they're betting on something that is rigged and they're going to lose, and all they're doing is lighting money on fire. So it's why these betting sites, they are flagging it. They are letting the NBA know. The NBA is going to conduct an investigation themselves as a separate entity. And in the Jontay Porter case, there was just an overwhelming amount of evidence that was not going to be able to truly be defended. Therefore, he pleads guilty and he's now in jail. Like that, you mentioned it, the death penalty, lifetime ban from the NBA. That's absolutely at play here with Terry Rozier also, as long as he's found guilty. Same thing with Chauncey Billups, same thing with Damon Jones. So yeah, there are plenty of similarities. And I understand it's in the best interest of Terry's attorney to say, no, there's no similarities here. Yeah, there absolutely are.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, I think, to defend some of the evidence that could be brought up in court. Obviously, we'll have to see where that goes. Set the scene. Last thing for us. You were talking about 2023, the rest of that season, how Terry didn't play into 2024. Can you kind of talk about how Terry even got to the Heat, what that looked like at that time, to kind of set our memory straight, just to remember?
Yeah, no, it's a good question because Terry Rozier on the basketball court, and look, he was a really important player to this franchise. So to try to wrap this up as much as possible, it's a long story. But remember, Terry Rozier came to Charlotte off of the heels of what I consider to be the best Hornets player of all time in Kemba Walker. So there was a sign and trade conducted. Kemba Walker goes to Boston, and in order for Boston to land Kemba without any competition, they agreed to a sign and trade. And in that sign and trade, what came back to Charlotte was Terry Rozier. And a lot of people hated the move, but what happened was Terry actually found a home, played really well, was our clutch time performer, was in contention for the newly found clutch award in the NBA that's been in existence for like the last couple of seasons. He really mattered to this team, and he came through in a lot of clutch moments. He was averaging 20 points per game. He was a really good three-point shooter. He was somewhat of this mentor to some of the other younger players on this team. And so that kind of speaks to him being a beloved player by Hornets fans, more so than your average Hornets player that had suited up in the purple and teal for, 5 years plus. Terry Rozier was beloved. He was starting to hit a little bit of a lull with this team, but even more so than that, the Hornets needed to figure out a direction they wanted to head. Do we want to continue to marinate in this mediocrity, or do we really want to pivot, maybe be bad for a while by trading some of our better players for assets towards the future and figure out what we can do in a couple of years? That's what happened with Terry Rozier. That trade to Miami actually signified a real direction that this Hornets team took by trading him for an unprotected first-round pick, which is about as valuable a single piece of a single asset can get, right? An unprotected first, it could be anything, especially with Miami having a bunch of older players. They could be bad and get a top 5 pick. If you are one of the worst teams in the league and you're awarded a top 5 pick in the NBA draft, because you traded it, you don't get it anymore. That belongs to the Hornets. It's extremely valuable. So it was shrewd business on part of the Hornets, especially with Terry Rozier being injured down in Miami, really never, ever finding his footing. It's been a complete disaster, honestly, down there with the Heat organization, separate from this incident, which we can all agree is a pretty big disaster. So that's how he was traded. That's how he came here. That's the kind of life he created for himself with Hornets fans. And this is how he's in Miami. And we might be looking at how he's going to be out of the NBA entirely. Fascinating stuff to see with what's going to happen with Terry Rozier's future.
Last thing, how do you, if you were Charles Lee, quell the hoopla that will happen around this? As we've talked about, the Hornets are going to be involved in this in some form or fashion. They're going to have to be, because he played, Rozier was here for quite some time. So if you're Charles Lee, right, we have this team with a lot of rookies.
Again, if you want to watch this whole conversation between our Colin Mayfield and Walker Mill talking about what this does to the NBA, you are welcome to see it here on the app, on our website, WCNC.com, or even our YouTube channel. That's going to do it for us here on a Friday morning as we come up on 11 o'clock. Charlotte Today is up next. Have a great day and a great weekend.